The night was quiet on Mars. Inside a small, old listening station, one man sat alone. His name was Captain Raiden, a retired human soldier. He had gray hair, sharp eyes, and a heart full of memories. Most people had forgotten this place, but Raiden stayed. He liked silence, away from war, away from pain. One night, while sipping hot coffee, the radio crackled. It was a strange sound, soft, weak, and broken. Raiden leaned forward and turned the dials. The signal became clearer, but the voice was shaking. It wasn't a human voice. It was young, scared, and full of sadness. "Please, is there a human? My mother, she is dying. Only a human can help." Raiden froze. The words repeated, again and again. He quickly ran a scan. The signal was real. It was coming from deep space, far beyond the human zones. The child sounded alien, but she was speaking broken Earth standard. Raiden's heart beat faster. He had seen many things in war, but never a call like this. He checked the system logs. No one else had received the message. He was alone. He stood up and walked to the large window. Outside, the red sands of Mars stretched for miles, but above, in the black sky, stars blinked like tiny fires. "Who are you?" he whispered to the stars. The signal came again, more desperate this time. "My name? Luma. Mother is dying. Please, only a human can heal her." Raiden didn't wait. He opened the old launch bay, where his ship the Solace rested under dust. It hadn't flown in 5 years, but Raiden was a good mechanic. Within hours, it was ready. He didn't ask permission, didn't contact Earth. He just entered the coordinates from the signal. Then he looked at the AI panel and said, "Set course, full burn, and keep a medkit ready." The AI blinked. "Captain, the destination is outside protected zones. High risk." Raiden only replied, "That child doesn't care about risk." And then they launched into space as the ship moved faster through the stars. Raiden thought about his past. He once saved lives during the Orion conflict, both human and alien. He remembered one alien girl, almost the same voice as Luma. He had lost her to a bad infection. No one came in time. Now, maybe, he had a second chance. Hours passed in silence. The ship reached a dead zone. No signals, no satellites, no maps, just blackness, and one small blue planet far away from any known star. "This is it," Raiden said. The ship began to shake as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Suddenly, alarms rang. Auto defense grid detected, activating emergency landing. The ship was hit by a weak pulse, not enough to destroy it. Raiden struggled with the controls, and the ship crash-landed into thick forest. Smoke filled the air, but Raiden was safe. He grabbed his medkit and stepped outside. The air was fresh, but the forest with strange trees glowed faintly in the dark. Then he heard a voice, soft and shaking, human. He turned. A small alien girl stood under a broken tree. She had glowing golden eyes, blue skin, and tiny shaking hands. She looked no older than 7 Earth years. "My name is Luma," she said, crying. "Please, come. Mother is dying." Raiden knelt. "It's okay, little one. I'm here now," he said, gently. He followed her through the trees, deeper into the jungle. Soon, they reached a shelter made of crystal and metal. Inside, an alien woman lay still, breathing slowly. "She's my mother," Luma whispered, holding her hand. "She touched something bad. We call it the dark sickness. No one can stop it, only humans." Raiden opened his medkit and scanned the woman. Her body was fighting something strange, part infection, part machine. His screen blinked, red. Unknown virus. Unknown tech. He looked at Luma, who was crying again. "You're right," he said. "This is not a normal sickness. But I'll try." He rolled up his sleeves, looked at the medicine, then back at the stars above. Raiden knew this wasn't just a mission. It was a second chance to do the right thing, no matter what it cost him. The stars had called. And he had answered. Captain Raiden stood beside the alien shelter. Staring at the dying woman, her skin was pale blue, and her chest rose and fell slowly. The scanner in his hand kept flashing red, showing strange results. The sickness inside her wasn't natural. It was something mixed, part virus, part machine. Something man-made, or at least touched by human hands in the past. He turned to Luma, the little alien girl. Her golden eyes were filled with fear. "She's getting colder," Luma whispered. "Is she going to die?" Raiden shook his head. "Not if I can help it." He placed small medical patches on Vela's skin, then injected a mixture to slow the sickness. He didn't know if it would work, but he had to try. As he worked, his eyes scanned the forest. Everything about this planet felt strange. The trees had glowing veins, and the ground pulsed like it was alive. This wasn't just an alien world. It was a forbidden planet, marked, unclaimed, and forgotten. Luma Raiden asked, "How did you two end up here?" Luma looked at him, confused. "We were hiding," she said softly. "My mother said people were looking for us." "Bad people." She pointed up to the sky. "They chased us in ships with sharp wings. We crashed here a long time ago." Then she got sick. Raiden frowned. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. Something bigger was going on. He looked up at the sky, noticing the remains of ancient defense drones hidden in the clouds. Old Earth military tech out, dated, but still dangerous. "Your mother. Did she ever say why only a human could help her?" Raiden asked. Luma nodded. She said, "Her sickness came from humans. Only humans know how to stop it." Raiden felt cold inside. He had been part of many missions during the Orion conflict. Back then, humans had tested strange tech on alien planets' tech that got out of control. Maybe this sickness was one of those forgotten weapons. And now it was killing someone innocent. Suddenly, a loud hum filled the air. Raiden grabbed Luma and pushed her behind a rock. A strange drone flew overhead, black, sharp, and scanning the ground. Raiden recognized it wasn't alien. It was a modified Earth recon drone, left over from a secret war. "Someone is still watching this planet," he said. The drone passed, then vanished into the clouds. Raiden knew it would come back. Or worse, go others. He looked down at Vela, who was shaking now. "We need to move her somewhere safe," he said. "This place isn't safe anymore. Together." Raiden and Luma built a stretcher using parts of the broken shelter. It was slow and hard work. Raiden carried Vela through the thick forest, while Luma helped clear the path. As they moved deeper, the ground changed. Strange glowing stones covered the earth, and old alien ruins appeared between the trees. They had sharp designs and symbols that pulsed with light. "This place is old," Raiden whispered. "Very old." Luma pointed at a hidden door in the ground, covered by roots. "My mother said this place was sacred." "Safe," she said. Raiden opened the door, and they climbed down into the darkness. Inside, the air was cooler. Crystals lit the walls with soft blue light. It looked like a healing temple lore, maybe an old science lab. They laid Vela on a stone. Bed and Raiden restarted his scans. Here, the signals were clearer. The virus was still spreading, but slower. The strange energy of the ruins was helping a little. Raiden sat down, tired. He had more questions now than answers. Why was this virus created? Why was a human the only one who could stop it? And why did someone want to keep this child and her mother hidden on a dead planet? Luma sat next to him, holding her mother's hand. "She always told me that humans were both danger and hope," Luma said softly. Raiden looked at her and smiled weakly. "Maybe that's true," he said, "but today I'll try to be the hope." Suddenly, the crystal walls flashed red. Something was coming. The ruins began to shake, slightly warning systems turning on. Raiden stood quickly and checked the scanner. Multiple life forms were approaching fast, and they weren't friendly. He pulled out a small plasma pistol, looked at Luma, and said, "Get ready. We're not alone anymore." The safe place had become a trap. And the fight to save one alien life was about to become a war for truth. The crystal walls of the ancient ruins glowed red. Raiden's scanner beeped again, fast-moving signals. Many of them. Luma clung to her mother's side, eyes wide with fear. Raiden gripped his plasma pistol tightly, his back against the stone doorway. "They found us," he whispered. Luma asked in a shaky voice, "Who are they?" Raiden didn't know for sure, but he had a terrible feeling. Whoever was coming wasn't here to help. Outside, faint footsteps echoed in the trees. Mechanical, slow, and cold, Raiden peeked out carefully and saw them for tall alien drones. They had sharp metal arms and glowing red eyes, not built by humans. But using human tech, Raiden aimed and fired once. A clean hit. One drone sparked and fell. The others rushed forward, and Raiden grabbed Luma's hand. "Run deeper into the ruins," he shouted. They ran through glowing tunnels and twisting halls. Luma led the way, her small hands glowing slightly in the blue light. The path took them down into the heart of the ruins, past doors that opened for Luma but stayed shut behind them. These ruins. "They know you," Raiden said, surprised. Luma nodded. "My mother's people built this place. Long ago, in the deepest chamber, they found safety for a moment. It was large and circular, filled with strange machines and broken glass tubes." Raiden scanned the room, then stopped. His face grew pale as he read the data left on an old human device. Project Echo, core human and no-tech integration. Test target species, El Yari. Raiden whispered, "That's your mother's species, isn't it?" Luma nodded slowly, unsure what the words meant. Raiden understood it now. Decades ago, during the Orion conflict, Earth's secret units came to this planet. They experimented on El Yari with nanotech machines too small to see. They wanted to create healing tech, but it turned into a sickness. It spread and mutated, and Earth's people left, thinking it would die out, but it didn't die. It lived in Vela's body, hidden for years, and now it was killing her. Worse, someone was still watching, trying to make sure no one ever found out. Raiden looked down at his hands. He had fought for peace during the war, but never knew about this. He felt ashamed, angry, and responsible. "I'm sorry, Luma," he said softly. "My people did this. We made your mother sick." Luma's lips trembled, but she said nothing. She looked down at her mother, who lay unconscious in the middle of the room. Her breathing was shallow, her body glowing faintly with blue veins. Raiden walked over to the control panel and powered up the system. Screens lit up with strange symbols. He tapped the translator and let it read the old El Yari language. Nanovirus, adaptive. Reversible, only with matched human immune data. Healing template, incomplete. Raiden stared at the last line. A human immune system was the only key to stop the virus. It wasn't just a theory. Luma was right all along. Only a human could heal her mother. "I have to do this," Raiden said. He opened a sterile tube, connected a data cable, and placed it on his arm. Luma's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "I'm giving the machine what it needs," Raiden said. "My immune system, my cells, my code." He pressed the button. A sharp sting hit his arm as the machine extracted samples from his blood. The system processed it, and the lights turned green. The nanobots started building a cure, one drop at a time, but Raiden's body began to shake. The machine wasn't just taking his blood, it was scanning his body, draining his strength. Still, he stayed still, refusing to let go. After 10 long minutes, the machine produced a vial of glowing blue liquid. Raiden stumbled to his knees, holding the vial, his vision blurred. But he smiled at Luma. Give this. To her. Now? Luma took the vial with both hands. She gently opened her mother's mouth and poured the glowing liquid inside. A moment passed, then another, then Vela's body glowed softly, the blue veins fading. Her breath becoming stronger. She's healing. Luma whispered, tears rolled down her cheeks. She's really healing. Raiden sat back against the wall, weak but smiling. His hands were shaking, but his heart felt light, for the first time in many years. He felt like a real soldier again. Not of war, but of hope. But the moment of peace was broken, the crystal wall suddenly blinked, showing a red warning. The AI voice echoed, unauthorized presence detected, secondary strike incoming in 6 hours. Raiden looked up sharply. Strike. What kind of strike? The AI responded, planetary cleanse. To erase all evidence, Raiden's blood turned cold. They weren't just trying to kill Vela. They were planning to destroy the whole planet to erase the truth. He looked at Luma and said, we have 6 hours to escape. And stop them. The shadows of the past were real, but Raiden was ready to fight them. The room was quiet again. Luma sat beside her mother, who now breathed slowly but peacefully. The glowing sickness in Vala's body had started to fade. The blue veins no longer pulsed with heat. The healing had begun, but the clock was ticking. Captain Raiden leaned against the stone wall, sweat on his face. He was pale and shaking. The healing machine had drained a part of his strength. His vision was blurred, and his legs felt heavy. Still, he forced himself to stand. 6 hours, he said. Looking at the crystal panel on the wall, that's all we have before this place is wiped out. Luma looked up at him, her small hands gripping her mother's, wiped out. She asked, confused. Raiden nodded. They want to destroy this whole place. To hide what they did, he didn't say who they were, but deep down, he knew this was the work of the same people who started Project Echo Core. Maybe Old Earth Command, or maybe secret groups that never disbanded. Either way, they were ready to kill again just to cover up the past. Luma stared at him with large golden eyes. You're one of them. A human, she whispered. You're from the ones who made my mother sick. Raiden didn't look away. Yes, I am, he said quietly. I didn't know about this place until now, but I won't lie to you. My kind did this. And I'm sorry. Luma's eyes filled with tears. She stood up and turned her back to him. Then why are you helping us? Raiden stepped closer, slowly, carefully, because I was a soldier once. But I left the war behind because I saw too much pain. I saved lives during the conflict. Human lives, alien lives. It didn't matter, and when I heard your message, I remembered what it felt like. To care. Luma wiped her tears, but didn't turn around. You're not like the others, she whispered. Raiden gently placed a hand on her shoulder. I don't want to be, he said. Silence filled the room. Then Luma slowly turned around and hugged him, a quiet, small hug full of fear and hope. Raiden closed his eyes and held her gently. At that moment, the trust was born real and deep. I need your help now, Raiden said. We have to stop the attack. He walked to the crystal console and studied the glowing lines. There was a transmission signal hidden deep in the system. A code left behind by the ancient LER. If Raiden could change the signal, he could block the attack. Or call for help, but the system wasn't responding. The AI required a key and access code, and only a full-blooded LER could activate it. Luma, Raiden said, I think this machine needs you. She looked surprised. Me? He nodded. You're part of this world. Your blood, your voice. It might listen to you. Luma stepped forward, nervous but brave. She placed her hand on the glowing panel. The crystals shifted and glowed brighter. Symbols lit up, and the AI voice spoke again. LER DNA confirmed. Welcome, child of the stars. Raiden smiled. You did it. Now the console was open. Raiden began typing. He found the countdown less than 5 hours now. He entered a shutdown code, but the system rejected it. Override denied. Emergency. Cleanse in progress. He hit the console, frustrated, but then another line appeared. Alternate path available. Broadcast message to Earth command. Raiden hesitated. If he sent a message to Earth, someone might help, but others might also trace him. He could be arrested, hunted. Or worse, but if he didn't act, the planet would be lost, and Vela would die. He looked at Luma, then back at the screen. Sometimes, he whispered, "You have to do the right thing, even if it costs everything." He pressed the button. The broadcast message began recording. Raiden stood tall and faced the glowing orb camera. "My name is Captain Raiden. I am a retired soldier of Earth's defense. I am standing in a hidden ruin on an unmarked planet. Here lies the truth of what we did during the Orion conflict. Project Echo Core was real. We created a sickness, and we left innocent people behind. Now the sickness is alive again, but we can stop it. I healed one El Yari today. We can do more, but only if we stop hiding and start helping." He ended the message. The signal was sent. Now all he could do was wait. The AI blinked. Message sent to Earth command. Response pending. Raiden turned and walked back to Vela and Luma. He knelt beside the unconscious mother and whispered, "I hope they listen. For your sake, and mine." The crystals dimmed, and the room fell quiet again. But something had changed. In the dark of the old ruin, hope had been born again. Raiden sat beside the sleeping Vela, his hand resting on the old medkit. His body was tired, but his mind could not rest. The message to Earth had been sent. But there was no answer yet. The countdown to the planetary strike kept ticking. 4 hours left, and the entire ruin might be turned to ash. Luma sat nearby, her arms wrapped around her knees. She watched the crystal lights flicker softly along the walls. "Will the humans help?" she asked. Raiden sighed. "I don't know, kid." He wanted to believe they would. But Earth Command had changed. It was no longer the peaceful force he once served. Now it was a silent machine, cold, distant, hiding its mistakes. Suddenly, the AI panel blinked red again. Unidentified lifeforms approaching. Organic signatures detected. Raiden stood quickly, his hand going to his weapon. This time, it wasn't drones. It was something else, something alive. The sound of footsteps echoed in the distance. Heavy boots, armor plates shifting, soft voices speaking in low tones. Raiden held up a hand, signaling Luma to hide behind the crystal pillar. Then he stepped forward, quiet and alert, from the shadows. Figures appeared, humanoid, tall, dressed in dark exosuits with black faceplates. They were armed, organized, and moved with silent precision. Raiden recognized the armor was black. Dagger, a human special unit that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. One of them stepped forward. "Captain Raiden," the voice said through a voice filter, "we received your transmission. Thank you for locating the site." Raiden narrowed his eyes. "This isn't a rescue, is it?" The soldier removed his helmet, revealing a sharp face with cold eyes. "My name is Commander Harlan," he said. "You've done your duty. Step aside. This facility is scheduled for total destruction." Raiden stepped forward. Standing between them in the room, "There's a mother and child in here. She's healing. We can help more of them." Harlan shook his head. "She's infected with Echo Core nanotech. The only way to prevent spread is to burn it out." Raiden clenched his fists. "She's not dangerous. The cure works. I gave her part of my immune system." Harlan's eyes narrowed. "Which means now you're infected too," he said flatly. He raised his weapon. "I'm sorry, Captain, but you are now part of the threat." Before Harlan could fire, the lights around them flashed blue. Vela had awakened. She stood tall, weak, but glowing. her eyes filled with power and wisdom. "You come here with death," she said calmly. "But this place holds life." The other soldiers froze. None of them had seen a fully conscious Elyari before. Her voice echoed not just in the air but inside their minds. The ruins responded. Lighting up with ancient energy, Harlan tried to raise his weapon again, but the AI voice spoke. "Warning. Attack detected." Activating protective protocol, the floor beneath the soldiers lit up. Energy beams rose, forming a shield between Vela and the intruders. Harlan shouted, "Disable it," but the AI replied, "Unauthorized command." Raiden stood beside Vela. "I won't let you hurt her," he said. Harlan growled, "You're a traitor, Raiden. You turned on your own kind." Raiden looked straight into his eyes. "No." I remembered what it means to be human. Suddenly, Luma stepped forward, her golden eyes glowing. She looked at the soldiers and raised her hand. "You want to erase us," she said, "but you can't erase truth." The walls of the ruin began projecting images, memories stored by the Elyar. Old videos, voices, and moments from the war. Human scientists testing nanotech on aliens. Soldiers walking away as the sickness spread, and one young Metacraden trying to save a child. The soldiers watched silently. Some lowered their weapons, unsure what to believe anymore. Harlan's face twisted with rage. "This changes nothing," he barked. "We follow orders. Burn the past. Keep the peace." Raiden shook his head slowly. "You're not keeping peace," he said. "You're covering a crime." The AI voice spoke again. "External strike vessel detected. Orbital weapons charging. Countdown, 3 hours, 10 minutes. Raiden?" Turn to Vela and Luma. "We need to stop the strike before it begins." Vela nodded. "There's one way," she said. "An old Elyari satellite in orbit. It can override the strike signal. But it must be activated manually." Raiden understood what she meant. He'd have to leave the safety of the ruins, fly into space, and reach the satellite himself. A one-man mission, possibly a one-way trip. He looked at Luma. "Stay with your mother. I'll be back." Luma grabbed his hand, tears in her eyes. "You came when I called," she whispered. Raiden smiled. "I always keep my promises." He turned, loaded his gear, and moved toward the tunnel that led back to the surface. The enemy had been revealed, but Raiden had no time for fear. He had a world to save. The ruins behind him were glowing gently in the dark. Raiden stood at the edge of the jungle, staring at the skies above. A single satellite, ancient and Elyar built, orbited high above the planet. It was old, hidden, and nearly forgotten. But it held the one thing they needed now: a chance to stop the orbital strike, a chance to save Vela, Luma. And the truth, Raiden climbed into his battered ship. The Solace, the hull was cracked. The wings burned from the earlier crash. But the engines still worked barely. He sat in the pilot's seat and looked at the photo taped to the screen. It was a picture of him and his old squad. Most were gone now, but the values they shared still burned in him. He touched the engine control. "Come on, girl," he whispered. "One more flight." The ship rose with a heavy rumble, braking through the treetops as it climbed into the blackness of space. Raiden saw flashes. The Earth strike vessel had arrived, and its giant cannon was glowing with power. Countdown, 2 hours, 40 minutes. Raiden pushed the ship forward, sweat on his brow. He approached the Elyari satellite, a silver ring with long arms. It floated like a ghost in the dark, surrounded by debris and silence. Docking sequence started, the AI said. Metal arms locked into place, and the airlock hissed open. Raiden floated inside with a cable around his waist. He moved carefully, his body weak, but his will strong. The control room inside the satellite was glowing dimly. Strange symbols flickered on the main panel. He tapped the translator and connected. His wrist scanner, the system responded slowly. Elyari signal recognized. Override interface unlocked. Raiden smiled faintly, but then he saw the warning manual override required. Life sign link must stay active. In other words, someone had to stay connected. The whole time, if the link broke before the countdown ended, the strike would fire anyway. He took a deep breath, sat down, and linked his biosignal to the terminal. A pulse of pain ran through his body. The nanotech inside him, taken from the cure earlier, reacted to the LERE system. It wasn't killing him, but it was draining him slowly. Back on the planet, Luma sat beside her mother in the glowing ruins. Vela was awake now, her strength slowly returning. They both looked up at the glowing ceiling, which showed a live feed of Raiden in orbit. "He's alone up there," Luma whispered. Vela touched her daughter's shoulder. "He carries a heavy truth and a heavier heart," she said, "but his light still burns." The soldiers who had once threatened them now stood at the edge of the chamber. Quiet and unsure, some had lowered their weapons. Some even helped clean the damaged parts of the ruin. The truth had shaken them, and now they waited for orders or for redemption. Commander Harlan paced in silence. He had once believed in secrecy, in control, but now, watching the child and her mother, he wasn't sure anymore. "Captain Raiden," he said through the comms, "I don't know if this changes anything, but I won't stop you." Raiden's voice came weak through the static. "It changes everything. If we let it." Minutes passed, then an hour. Raiden sat in silence, eyes closed, mind fading between memory and now. He saw faces from his past. Soldiers he couldn't save, children lost in the chaos, and one little girl. Not Luma, but another alien child from a past mission. He hadn't been fast enough back then, but now he was on time, inside the satellite. Warning lights blinked, his vitals were dropping. The link was holding, but Raiden's pulse was slowing. Vela reached out from the planet's surface with her mind. Her healing gift was stronger now. She sent energy through the ruins, through the crystals, into the air. The planet responded, the old systems connecting like forgotten roots. The energy surged upward into space. It wrapped around Raiden like soft light. His eyes fluttered open, just enough to see the timer. The AI voice echoed one last time. Orbital weapon signal disconnected. Strike cancelled. Added transmission complete. The LER satellite powered down, and the lights dimmed. Raiden leaned back in the chair, barely breathing, but he was alive. The planet was safe. Down below, Luma jumped up and cried out with joy. He did it. He stopped it. Vela smiled, her eyes glowing with soft tears. Light can still be found, even in the darkest sky, she whispered. The soldiers in the ruin lowered their heads in silence. A message came through their private channels from Earth Command. Stand down. Investigation team en route. Protect survivors until arrival. X. The truth was no longer hidden. The lies of the past had cracked open. And one man, tired, scarred, but true, had made it happen. Raiden floated in silence, watching the blue planet. Below, it was beautiful. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Not a bad day to be human." Captain Raiden opened his eyes slowly. The soft sound of beeping filled the air. He was lying on a medical bed inside the Solace. Above him, the ships. AI displayed green lights, vitals stable. Nanotech neutralized. Condition recovering. He tried to sit up, but his muscles were weak. His mind felt cloudy, as if he had been asleep for days. But the moment he saw the planet below on the screen, it all came back. The ruins, the sickness, Luma, the satellite, the override. The mission had succeeded. The strike was stopped. The truth was out. A soft knock came at the ship's airlock. Raiden turned his head as the door hissed open, and there she was, Luma, wearing a clean tunic. Her golden eyes bright and wide. "You're awake," she said with a smile. Running toward him, Raiden chuckled weakly. "Still here, kid? Didn't think I'd make it?" She climbed beside him on the bed and shook her head. "You're strong, even for a human," she said proudly, behind her. Vela entered the room slowly, her posture tall and graceful. Her skin had returned to a healthy shade of blue, and her aura was warm again. She nodded with deep respect. "Captain Raiden," she said gently, "you saved not only us, but the last light of our people's past." Raiden tried to smile. "Did what anyone would have done?" Vela stepped forward, placing her hand lightly on his chest. "No," she said, "you did what others feared to do. You chose to heal, not to hide." Just then, the ship's communicator buzzed. A voice came through, professional, human. "This is Earth Peace Vessel Horizon Dawn. We are entering orbit. Captain Raiden, we received your message, requesting meeting on surface." Raiden raised an eyebrow. "Peace Vessel. I didn't know Earth still had those," he joked. Luma giggled. Maybe they're learning, later that day, the clearing. Outside the ancient ruins filled with light, a sleek Earth vessel landed slowly, its engines humming softly. From it stepped human officers not in black armor, but in blue and silver uniforms of peace and science. They approached carefully, with respect. One of them, a tall woman with kind eyes, introduced herself. "I'm Envoy Myra, United Earth's Restoration Council." She said, "We're here to listen, to learn, and to make things right." Raiden stood beside Vela and Luma. He was still weak, leaning slightly on a cane. But his spirit was stronger than ever. "We're not hiding anymore," he said. "If we want peace between humans and the Elyari, we start by facing the truth." Envoy Myra nodded. "The message you sent has already shaken Earth's command. There will be trials, changes, and hopefully healing." Vela stepped forward. "This place holds ancient knowledge. My people may be scattered, but with help, we can rebuild." Together, Luma grabbed Raiden's hand and whispered, "Will you stay with us?" Raiden looked at the sky, then back at the girl. "I think I found my place again," he said softly. "Not as a soldier, not as a fighter, but as a builder." Days turned into weeks. Human scientists and Elyari survivors worked side by side. The ruins became a center of healing and history. Children laughed, drones planted trees, and stories of the past were written down truthfully. Luma was often seen walking beside Raiden. She called him teacher and sometimes family. She learned about human history, medicine, and even bad Earth jokes. Raiden spent his time training young medics, both human and alien. He taught them not just how to heal bodies, but how to listen, how to respect, how to care. One evening, as the sun set over the glowing forest, Raiden stood alone near the ruins. Vela joined him, standing quietly for a moment. "You gave us more than life," she said. "You gave us a future." Raiden nodded, his eyes watching the stars. "And you gave me something I thought I lost," he replied. "Hope." High above them, the Elyari satellite still circled the planet, but now it broadcast a different signal, not a warning, not a trap, but a message of peace in every language. Together, we rise. Together, we heal. The past was not forgotten, but the future was open, bright, honest, and full of new beginnings. And it had started with one child's cry, and one human who chose to answer it.